Grand Rising, everyone. Hope you guys are okay. Hope you're doing well. And I hope everything is going as planned. This is nikymus, and you're welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking EMPATHS free. If you are new on this channel, I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. I talk about spirituality. I talk about personal and self-development. And if that's what resonates with you, I invite you guys to join us, give us a like, share this video with friends, and you may subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back, and I thank you for your love and support. This video has been a request by a couple of people who have reached out and asked if I could do a video on divorcing the narcissist. Now, eventually, you have broken up, you have been discarded, you have walked away, you are going through a separation. That is the first thing, even before we talk about the divorce. That is one of the most painful, I would say, in my own personal experience. I don't know what has been yours, but it is one of the most painful things, like any other divorce, even if it's just a normal individual. But with the narcissist, it's going to be different rules that apply when it comes to that situation. There is a few rules you need to follow, and there's a few things you need to know. You need to understand how the mind of a narcissist operates. You need to understand that you're dealing with a very dysfunctional individual. You're dealing with a very manipulative, abusive individual. That individual only sees you or has been seeing you, treating you as supply. For them to be able to carry on with life, they have got to have somebody that they abuse. Their abuse is their signature. They are not willing to let you go. These are some of the things you have got to put in your mind. That narcissist is not willing to let you go. The chances are also high that the person you've separated with or from is already in a new relationship. So most likely you've already run into them. They're with that so-called new supply, the new person that they are dating at the moment. Do not take it personal, ladies and gentlemen. I've told you, you have got to understand the narcissist manual, how they operate, and the things they do is going to give you a lot of clarity. Then you're able to move on from there. Remember that this particular narcissist you're dealing with, like I've said, for them in their mind, in their playbook, they have just kind of released you temporarily, okay? So they still see you and view you as supply, whether you are still in the relationship or not. They still do view you as supply, and they believe at some point in time there's going to be an open window where they are actually still going to come back, hover you, and get you back into that abuse. For a person who has separated with a narcissist, it's very important to know you've been going through abuse. One of the things you should try to get away from is to get yourself into new relationships. Maybe it's a week or two, could be a month or two. Don't get into a new relationship, because I can promise you that new relationship will not work. It doesn't matter how much you want it to work. It is not going to work, because you're still going to have to do the healing work for yourself, on yourself. Now, when you're divorcing a narcissist, you are signing out of the abuse. You are officially signing out of abuse. It is going to be easier if you don't even have kids with them, okay? You don't have a lot of ties, but I'm very sure that most likely you have a lot of financial ties together. You could have been dealing with a mortgage. Maybe you have some loans from the bank and car financing and the things like that. So there's probably been some attachments you have got with them. And when you're trying to divorce a narcissist, you are trying to put the final signature to this whole situation because you want to sign out of it permanently. And a divorce with a narcissist can simply cause a narcissist to have the biggest narcissistic injury. And this doesn't even have to matter if they're already in a new relationship, maybe that they're already planning to have kids with somebody else or stuff like that. You are signing out of this. And now it's like you're mentioning to this narcissist that is game over, is the end of it, you have nothing to do with them. So eventually you're going to cause a narcissistic injury. Like I've said, the narcissist is not willing to release you. They don't want you gone. They want you to be out there somewhere. And, every now and then, whenever possible, they're going to try to swing back in and, hover you back. Sometimes they may even try to sleep with you. They may sometimes come around and drive by the house. They want to see what you're doing and the things like that. And it doesn't even matter, again, if they are in a new relationship, which is most of the cases. That is what exactly happens. I would recommend, first of all, before you think about, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, okay? You may have your own way, how you want to do it, but in my opinion, if you're the person that has been going through abuse, you need, first of all, to take some time. Don't rush around with the divorce because, first of all, you're still dealing with the trauma bond. You've been trauma bonded over the years, and that trauma bond hasn't yet broken. So in the early stages of the separation, if you're starting the divorce process, it is going to be very, very painful, and it's going to be a lot of drama. They're going to cause a lot of drama. They're going to cause a lot of chaos because they don't want you to put that signature on those papers, and they don't want to check out permanently of that relationship because, again, this is means for the narcissist that you are done, okay? You are done with them, and they cannot handle this. That is not how they are wired. They are not wired to release you and to be in a situation whereby you're completely done with them. They still want you, and they still view you as supply that they are going to need at some point in time. One of the things you need to understand as well is that, like I've said, take some time off, first of all. Figure things out on your own. Go no contact, like we've always advised you to do. Go no contact. Don't try to call them. Don't sneak around on their social media pages. Don't try to see what they're doing with the new supply because those things are going to actually hurt you because the narcissist wants to make it very painful for you. Whenever you see these pictures, you're going to have these memories and stuff like that, and you're actually going to reactivate that trauma bond. So eventually, the healing is going to be very difficult for you. Don't sneak around on them. Don't check what they're doing. Go out there, spend some time on your own. Mourn if you have to, because eventually you're going through a loss. It is the same feeling that you have when you have actually lost a loved one. It's the same feeling that happens when you're breaking away with a narcissist. So sit down with that pain, process what has just happened, educate yourself a little bit more. If you have the funds to, go and get some therapy. There may be some people out there who want to help you. Maybe you've got a contact with a coach who is guiding you through the whole process of how you need to go ahead with the healing. And then eventually, after a couple of, I would recommend between a period of 1 or 2 years, that is when now you should initiate the divorce process. Because like I've said, if you're still going through this pain, number one, you haven't yet got closure. You're still dealing with the trauma bond. So in most cases, it's going to be very dramatic. A lot of times you're going to call them, you want them to sign a document. Maybe the lawyer may send the document to their address. They refuse to sign the document. They refuse to come to the meetings. Maybe you've got meetings with attorneys or lawyers or stuff like that. Maybe they are being invited to come to court. A lot of times they're not going to appear in court. So they want to make it very difficult for you to check out of that relationship permanently. So this is why they are putting up a lot of resistance that you cannot be able to finally get out or check out or sign out of that marriage permanently. So like I've said, take some time between a period of 1 or 2 years, then now you can initiate, because at least during that time, you have been doing some focus and paying attention to yourself. You have been trying to mourn this relationship. You've been trying to do some healing, work on yourself. So eventually, you may not feel a lot of pressure at some point later on when you start the divorce process, because I've always told you guys in my videos, getting out or exiting a narcissistic relationship is a one-way ticket. For the most of us and the most of you guys who have done the mistake of getting hoovered back into the relationship, looking behind you and going back to the narcissist, you already know that you have paid the price of getting back into that abuse, because normally the abuse will intensify. The narcissist is going to double or even triple the abuse, and you're going to regret the reason as to why you have actually brought them back into your life. So in that process, like I've said, later on, start the process. Okay, get a good lawyer. Get a good lawyer. Okay, my divorce wasn't very difficult because, like I've told you, I took some 2 years for myself, just to focus on myself. And then eventually, some of you guys may not be financially stable, so you may not be able to pay the fees that are necessary for you to process the divorce process, whether it is paying a lawyer or paying the court fees and stuff like that. So this time you're using on your own is to gather up the resources that you need, the team, building up a team that you're going to use for that process, of course, gathering all the evidence, because of course you're going to need all the proof that that marriage should actually be broken permanently by the courts. So you're gathering all the resources. You need the money, the team, building a team, healing also or for yourself. And then you can eventually later on start that divorce process. Now, you do not have to expect that the narcissist will come for the hearings. They're not going to come for the meetings. They're going to refuse to sign the documents. So it's why I've told you that you have got to have a very good defense team. You have got to have a very good lawyer who knows and has got some experience. So this is also one of the most important things. You need to speak with someone, or you need to collaborate with somebody who has already done some divorce cases when it comes to abuse and emotional abuse and domestic violence and things like that. So they need to have some background information, and they also need to understand something about narcissistic abuse, because sometimes you may be dealing with a lawyer who has no idea about narcissism. So they're not pretty much, even if they may know who a narcissist is, they may not be able to defend you properly because they do not have a history of dealing with narcissistic abusive relationships. There's just a couple of, or I could say a handful of people who understand what emotional abuse is, or what the society may these days call domestic violence. Although most of the times we know it is actually narcissistic abuse that has been happening. They may just try to call it domestic violence. So there has to be a lawyer who is very much acquainted and familiar with such cases as well. And in that time also, when the divorce is happening, of course, sometimes it's going to take a lot of time. You guys know how the courts operate depending on which state you are from. Some divorces can go up to 2 years. Some of them can go 3 years. Is why I've told you that when you take a long time before initiating the divorce process, it gives you the upper hand to have this thing done. Because you see, when you have been separated with this narcissistic individual for at least 2 years, so from a legal perspective, you are actually legally allowed to check out of that relationship, because eventually it's no longer a marriage. You have not been with your partner for 2 years. So eventually the court can give you the upper hand to go ahead and divorce. Even sometimes it may not be necessary for the narcissist to appear in court. But when you do it earlier on, before the period of 2 years, there are some laws which may go, the whole thing may just go, you may be going in circles. Maybe they want you to go back and rekindle that relationship. Maybe you have to talk to the partner, maybe this, and it's going to be very difficult in those periods. Some people have done it successfully. But if you feel it's going to give you a lot of hardships, then I would recommend that you do wait for a period of at least 2 years, where legally you're going to have the upper hand when it comes to the divorce. Like I've said, why am I giving you this period? Because in these early stages, there's always a chance that that particular narcissist is going to make it completely difficult and impossible for you to divorce. So if you do it later on, then you're going to be one step ahead of that game. And even if they try to play around and do these mind games and refuse to sign some documents, refuse to come for the hearings, you are still going to have the upper hand, because officially you have been at least 2 years out of that relationship. So the courts can actually consider that this is no longer a marriage. And it is also going to even work much better for you if that particular narcissist, which I believe is the case, they are already in a new relationship. So that is going to be proof enough for you that the person that you're trying to divorce has already moved on and in a new relationship. So that is also going to add some very, very strong particular grounds as to why they should actually get you guys divorced, because you have separated from the person and they have been in a new relationship for a couple of months or even sometimes a couple of years. So you're still going to have the upper hand when it comes to this divorce. During that process, when you're divorcing a narcissist, it's very important to know, like I've said, there may be some people who actually have kids with them. I do not say you should completely cut them off. So sometimes when you have got families with them, you have got kids, and sometimes every now and then, maybe they need access, or maybe you need access to the kids, then you should actually let it only and only concern the kids. Whenever you have got engagement or you have got meetings with these people, make sure that you strictly have got very strong boundaries. You're not going there to shake their hands. You're not going there to sit down and have coffees. You're not going there to allow them sit in the sofas. Let them come around, maybe pick the kids, or if you're the one who is supposed to go there, just go, show up, pick the kids. But do not give yourself the time where you're going to be sitting around and starting to discuss your own personal lives. Because what the narcissist is trying to do, they are trying to manipulate the entire situation to make you forget about this divorce. They are going to make it difficult. In some cases, there might even be some situations where you are the one who is going to actually fully finance the whole divorce, because they may even sometimes fail or refuse to participate in that financial obligations when it comes to the court fees and the stuff like that. So if you've been out there, like I've said, gather some resources. Okay, maybe you want to talk to some family members. Maybe you want to, because one thing what I know with narcissistic abuse, when you have checked out of a narcissistic relationship, you have most likely been financially disabled. Okay, so they have already destroyed your finances. Most likely you don't even have a job. Most likely you don't even have a place to stay. So it is actually very difficult in that moment. Understand that there's going to be losses. So a lot of times people tend to stick around with the communicating and contacting the narcissist because they still need these little benefits. Okay, there's still a home that they have been living, and they don't want to get rid of the home. That is why it's going to be very difficult. So you may find it very difficult because every now and then you're going to see that narcissist getting involved in your own personal life, because in the back of their mind, they know that you're trying to get and check out of that relationship. So they're always going to swing back and forth to confuse you so that you cannot be able to actually divorce them. Is why I've said, if you have got kids, keep it strictly to the kids. It is only and only about the kids. There is nothing more. What they are doing with their new supply, why they're going on holiday, what is going on with their health is not your business. Put your focus only on the children. If you do not have children with them, then, like I've said, you have got the upper advantage, because now you have nothing to look at. You have nothing to look back to. Apart from the narcissists you've been dealing with, there are no kids. So there are no other very powerful, strong connections or responsibilities that you're going to have to deal with. So you are now focused on just pretty much the divorce. In that case, you don't even need to show up at their house, and you do not also allow them to show up at your house. In the process, when you're divorcing a narcissist, it's very important for the victim and survivor to cut them off completely. Do not give them access to your home. Even if you have got children, you need to have a mutual place, or I could say a joint where you guys need to meet. If they need access to the kids, you could probably be able to take the kids somewhere and they can meet you halfway. But try to avoid these kind of interactions whereby they're going to be running back and forth inside the house, moving around, checking things and stuff like that. Because not only are they checking on what it is going on with you, they will also want to know if you have met or found somebody new, so that they can make it difficult for you to move on. They may sometimes try to sneak up on your personal life. They may try to find out who you're dating. Sometimes they may be even sending some flying monkeys, some spies, go and check on what those people are doing and stuff like that. And there is information that they may start gathering that is also going to make it very difficult for you to divorce them. Even if the narcissist has managed to appear in court, let's say there have been some hearings about the divorce and they have actually managed to appear to court, which in most cases they refuse to do so, they may sometimes build up some negative stuff about you. Okay, so they may try to make the whole process look like you have always been the problem. You didn't do this or you didn't do that. So when you're building up a case to divorce a narcissist, you have got to have a lot of evidence. They want to walk ahead of you because, like I've said, they want to make it very difficult for you to divorce them. So you also need to move ahead in advance and collect and gather a lot of information and evidence that you're going to be using in that divorce, because I can promise you, you're going to need all the evidence that you can to fully divorce a narcissist. It's not a walk in the park, but when there's work to be done, you should be the one to put in the work. The narcissist is not going to put in any work when it comes to divorcing them and checking out permanently out of that relationship. I hope I've exhausted most of the points I wanted to say in this video. Let us know if you still need some help when you're going through a separation or you are in the divorce process. Reach out to me. We can have a session about that. I hope you guys have been told everything you need to know in this video. Let us know what you think about the video in the comment section below. You guys know I do love and appreciate your support. Please book a session if you want to. You may donate or support my channel if you want to. Everything you need, you will find it in the description below. And until then, I will catch you guys in my next one. There's almost signing out. Much love and blessings. Peace.